Chelsea, because they could struggle potentially to continue their infinite athlete deal as it was struck before the associated party transaction rules were introduced back in February. What are your thoughts on that piece of news, Keith?
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole associated party transaction situation is one that is going to be decided pretty much in the legal side of things again, thanks to our friends at Man City. Yes, I think it would have been a problem with PSR in terms of Chelsea. They've got their issues around still that their property transactions with the hotel and the training ground. What I think will happen, though, is that this is where Chelsea obviously was a very valuable asset because of their position in London. And I think you will probably find an airline sponsor coming in that will maybe not match the 46 million it was rumored to be for Infinite Athlete, but I think around the 40 million mark, I think, for something coming in. I would think a Middle East airline would be the one that would probably fill that. So I don't think they'll find it too hard to do that, given the West London position they've got, the London waiting, and they're not far from Heathrow, etc. So I do expect a major international airline to come in, and that is one of the benefits that Chelsea have. Although we know they haven't performed spectacularly on the pitch last season or the season before, but nevertheless, I still think they'll be able to get a significant shirt sponsor because of that. Shirt sponsors also will, I suppose, if they secure Chelsea, then they'll have to pay a bonus structure, and there won't be many bonuses to pay out for Chelsea, I don't think, in terms of European success. There's no Champions League bonuses, etc. So it may well work for a sponsor to come to some sort of deal around that sort of 40 million mark. So I think that shouldn't be the biggest issue for Chelsea to replace Infinite Athlete.
And Keith, what does that then mean for a timeline? If you were to say, you mentioned there about, say, an airline sponsor coming in, how long could that potentially take? Could it be, say, the next few weeks? Could it be months? What sort of timeline will we be predicting for them?
It's got to be soon. So I think, I think weeks is what I'd be looking at. I think it's got to be done hopefully by the end of June at the latest. So that's what I'd expect. I have no knowledge of anybody that's in there, but that's my reading of events from experience, is that I would think they'd hope to get it signed and sealed and announced before the end of the month.
And in terms of signings, Keith, looking potentially at some incomings and outgoings, they look like they're in the process of signing John Duran from Aston Villa. Bit of a surprise deal, I think, for quite a few fans. What are your thoughts on that potential move for him?
Yeah, I'm also surprised. Certainly, he's shown flashes, but he hasn't really shown consistency. And then again, he hasn't had the playing minutes to do it. He's obviously up against Ollie Watkins, and who's been in form. I think the price I've been seeing recently is 40 million does surprise me. I think Duran would, in my view, still be considered an up-and-coming talent, but certainly not having shown the consistency required as a top goal scorer. So I'd have thought it would have been around about the 25 to 30 mark maximum, potentially with add-ons. But look, to me, he's an unproven asset. And I don't necessarily think he's the right answer for Chelsea either up front. They haven't had success with some of their efforts up front so far. And so that's still a big area for them. And it just, I'm sure that they're still kicking themselves about Lukaku, but there we go.
Keith, from his point of view, then joining the squad, coming into the team, I mean, we've discussed before some of their signings who have been bedding in and have taken time. That's sort of looking at a younger player potentially, sort of that, maybe pre-24, 25 age. What will it mean for him going forwards? Do you think he could start over Nicholas Jackson, or actually will it be an aim for Todd Boehly, say Enzo Maresca, that they try and bed him into the squad for the next few years?
Well, they've got to hit the ground running these days when you do a transfer into a squad like this, and I think Duran has got to do that. And I think they'd look to be buying a starter is what they'd be hoping for, that he would become the #1 striker. And I think that's what the ambition would be, and I think that's what they're hoping for. I don't think he's one for the future. I think he's got to hit the ground running. So I'd expect him to be part of the big plans going straight away into the season.
And are we still expecting big sales, Keith, from Stamford Bridge pre-June 30th?
Yeah, I think there still has to be. I think there's going to be 2 or 3 still that have to go. It's going to be, tough. It's a tough market right now. I say where buyers are the ones that really have the whip hand at present. But I still think I see 2 or 3 coming out of Stamford Bridge. Again, another manager comes in and has to make his imprint on the squad. So I think there'll be some people that will go.
And there is still some talk, Keith, that potentially Conor Gallagher could go to Villa. Potentially, there was some talk about a swap deal with John Duran as well. Is that an exciting deal for Villa fans? Is that a deal, do you think, that Chelsea should consider? Or actually, do you think losing one of their key assets in Conor Gallagher would actually be a bit of a mistake for Enzo Maresca?
I think it is a huge mistake for Chelsea. It would be a great deal for Villa. I think he brings in an extra dimension for Villa in their midfield, particularly if Luiz goes to Juventus. Then I think that he would be... The player swap situation there makes ultimate sense, I think, financially as well. So that's something that should be, and I'm sure is being discussed. And I think that Conor Gallagher I think he's a talent, and I'd like to see him. If I was Chelsea, I wouldn't be letting him go. But for Villa, I'd be happy to see him come into the Villa squad, certainly.
And, sort of moving on from John Duran, Keith, are we expecting any other big signings potentially at Stamford Bridge? Which other positions do you think they need to strengthen maybe going into the summer to look to push on next season with Enzo Maresca?
Well, obviously with Thiago at the back going, then I think they're going to have to look at another centre-half. And that's somebody that, I thought they would have been in for Branthwaite, to be honest, is the one that I thought would have come in, and I thought Chelsea would have been prepared to do that and may still do that. Who knows what's going to happen? Because I think they certainly need talent at the centre back situation, and they still haven't solved the attacking situation. There's no doubt. I think midfields, you could probably manage to meld things together, but I think if Duran does come in, I think you're going to need another option up front with him other than Jackson to really make things sing. So you've got to get that option for two up front and to play off each other, possibly another attacking number 10. But it's not finished yet. But then again, with so much turnover in managers, how can you expect to have consistency when the players are being asked for different styles of play continually? So that rests at Todd Bowley's door. So we'll see how this season goes, and hopefully some stability. I did say that I thought stability with Pochettino was the way to go forward. But here we are again. So another season for Chelsea, and we'll see what if they can salvage some stability, which is going to be the key for their future going forward.
You've just watched a segment from Football Insider's brand new podcast, The Inside Track, with me, Lewis Pearce, alongside the guests on the show. Thanks very much for tuning in. Please do give the video a like, comment your thoughts on the topic, and feel free to share on your social media pages. If you want to listen to the full podcast episode, click the link in the description below. Keep your eyes peeled for plenty more content and exclusives here on The Inside Track.